In this lesson, we're going to talk about shifts in poems. Shifts are changes in tone, theme, time, or point of view. So shift occurs when anytime there's a change in the tone, which is the author's attitude, the theme, or the universal lesson, the time, and the point of view, which is the perspective of the poet. You can also look for changes in relationships, such as like a cause and effect. If the first part of the poem is talking about a cause and then it switches to an effect, you know that's where the shift occurs. So you want to pay attention to that form. An example are our sonnets. So then Petrarchan sonnet, it has one stanza of 8 lines and then one stanza of 6 lines, and then the shift occurs at that second stanza always. Most are going to occur near the end of the poem. A lot of times in the last stanza. In the Shakespearean sonnet, you just have one big stanza, and then the shift occurs in the couplet at the end. So transition words are also going to signify a change. So you look at like words like but, yet, or so. You look for contrasting ideas, contradicting ideas, summarizing a statement of theme or effects of something that was discussed earlier in the poem. You can also look for a change in rhyme scheme. So if the rhyme is consistent and then it changes, that's probably where a shift is. So if you have AB, AB, CD, CD, and then EE, you know that EE is where the shift is going to occur. You have to read the poem critically to identify the shift. If the changes like I've just discussed aren't occurring, then you're going to have to just look really critically and paraphrase to find the change in that tone or theme or time or point of view. So here's an example from Wilfred Owen, Dulce et Decorum Est. This is a World War I poem. So I'm just going to read it and try to identify the poem, or identify the shift as I read. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through the sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and toward our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas, quick, boys! An ecstasy of fumbling fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone still was yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams before my helpless sight he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cut of vile, incurable sores on innocent tugs, my friend, you would not tell me with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. Okay, so the first part of the poem is describing these horrendous conditions of the war that the poet was facing. And then in the last stanza it switches and it says, if in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in. Now he's directly addressing the audience, and that's a change from the structure previously used in the poem. So you know that's where the shift is going to occur. It's taking the situation and then putting it into a broader focus and directly talking to the audience. That word if is also a signifier that can show you a shift as well.